There is an array of diverse and creative talents residing in Lethbridge, who often feel they have to leave Lethbridge to search for a bigger platform, stage of support. I've always been fascinated by the local artists and music scene, and this led me to start wondering, as Toronto, Vancouver and Montreal are becoming the staple for Canadians in the art and music scene, are there notable artists emerging from small communities? What does it mean to be a local artist? Do they feel disconnected from the bigger scenes? What makes them keep going and what motivates them to make music even though it might not be heard by millions amount of people? To answer this question, we went on a journey with several artists from the Lethbridge music and art scene as they shared their unique voices, stories and talent. Well, to give you a bit of an overview of Lethbridge, it's a growing city located in the southern province of Alberta with a population of over 100,000. Lethbridge is well known and recognised for its agriculture industry and post-secondary institutions, which play an essential role in the city's infrastructure, tourism, retail and service sectors. It also gets really windy here too. But Lethbridge's best kept secret is its music and art community despite all of that. There is much more happening under the surface of this small community, and its music and art scene is rapidly evolving beyond its country roots. The problem is though, the secret's a little too secret. So over time, many talented artists have felt they had to leave Lethbridge to search for a bigger platform or opportunities to advance their careers or showcase their art and music. Well, this led to Windy City Highlights, where we celebrate diverse artists and musicians from varying backgrounds in the Lethbridge community, and each episode profiles and interviews an artist to get an insight into their artistic journey and experience.
My name is Mike Spencer. I'm the founder and director of the Geomatic Attic. If you go backwards to 2008, I'd say that the music and art scene was just sort of finding its feet. We had some real potential, but I'd say it's certainly musically the scene has really started to blow up here.
Lethbridge is a small, large city, isn't it? I've been here my whole life, so I've seen many changes throughout my life. I think it's becoming a lot more diverse, which is good. There's a lot more live music and things going on here that is great to see. Yeah, it's growing. It's growing into a big city, but it still kind of has that small city vibe.
It's very vibrant. I call it it's our hidden treasure. I don't know that everybody is really super aware of the vibrancy, the number of working artists living within our community. So it replicates that experience I had at university of having a very strong, diverse arts community here. Artists working in all disciplines, from theater to dance to music to visual arts. They know each other because we're small. They connect with each other. They work with each other. So it's a pretty tight community, and it sort of percolates under the covers, not always recognized necessarily by the larger community. So yeah, I think we're fortunate in Lethbridge to have the arts community and the group of artists we do.
I would say it's definitely like small but unique and dedicated, and like it's definitely one of those places that big touring acts, if they do, stop by, take a little detour from their main Canadian stops, they're always blown away, I think, by just how people show out, and like the energy we have. But I mean, that's just a factor of there not being very many shows here regularly, and the scene being completely self-sustaining. Like it's locals here putting on the shows all the time, and anytime that somebody huge will come through, it's like a big celebration for us to showcase the local acts, but then also have a big party with everybody else. So, I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would say just like pretty tight knit, a little little bit of an everybody knows everybody vibe, or if you don't know somebody, you know somebody that they know sort of thing. But that's cool, right? Everybody's very supportive of each other and like, you know, likes to see other people from Lethbridge succeed. I don't know, if somebody from Lethbridge made it and they were shouting out Lethbridge, we'd all be so stoked on it, right? It's just like everybody, so they'll, you know, definitely show the support, you know, when you put on these events and stuff. The people who are into it are definitely into it, and they like come through regularly.
Lethbridge is a super unique city. I think it's a very interesting blend of a student population and an older demographic and anywhere in between. I think it's a growing city, a lot of potential for the city. We're already in a good place, and I think the only way is up. I think the downtown Lethbridge area specifically is very unique because it's a lot of old buildings, a lot of history here, but we're bringing a lot of innovative people, a lot of new ideas into this space, and kind of the relationship between those two it's really cool to watch. It's very different from other downtown areas in Alberta, like Calgary. Downtown Calgary is amazing, but it can be very overwhelming. If you come to downtown Lethbridge, everything's within walking distance. All the people are very personable. A lot of the local community is very important to the business owners here.
First and foremost, Lethbridge is it's an enigma because we have many different passionate groups, and we also have a very transient community of individuals that come here for school that would be the most attended to go out to shows or be a part of scenes. We have music department students, and everybody has their own specific drive, what they can go to. And then also everybody has their own specific budget of what they can afford. There's a standard of excellence, I think, that like there's not enough venues to go on in town, but there's also not enough disposable income to be able to support big events. So you usually look for like beginning of the year, let's go, everybody has student loans, or end of the year, like let's send it. Between those parts, everybody's extremely busy, or it's winter and we're all depressed. And then the summertime comes and everybody's like, well, it's beautiful outside and the mountains are right there, I want to go. So I think that like the music community thrives around pre-planned events.
We've got some really deep level of talent in lots of different genres. I think we could be one of those cities, like Winnipeg often gets spoken about in this way. Halifax does. It's got kind of like a vibe where it's a great incubator for talented musicians, entertainers, and I think Lethbridge is kind of on the cusp of being a city like that. And that's gone from when you asked me about, 14 years ago. I think we were probably known as a very conservative city where, nobody's stopping over. And, in many ways it's still very conservative, but, I think we're kind of nibbling at the edges and pushing the boundaries a little bit with the types of acts that we've got here. So we love being part of that.
Really awesome hip hop scene here. The rest of it is a bit folky and not really my vibe. But Lethbridge actually does have a pretty good, thriving music community, I would say. Yeah.
But it is hella racist.
Yeah, it's a tough place to grow up, man, that's for sure.
And I don't know if it's just because of the population here, but I feel like there's a lot of ignorance in this place, and not everyone carries those beliefs, but I think there just needs to be more openness to other people who are different, because there is a little bit of a mentality kind of around some of the older folks who live here, and then they teach it to their young, and then the cycle just repeats. And so I need a little bit more openness from Lethbridge to different things, cultures, food, music, all of it. I mean, we do have communities that do offer those things, but as I mentioned before, they're pretty small.
But it's also still a very small prairie city with very, very conservative people who are less innovative, let's say. Good people, but very conservative, very traditional values.
There's like a pretty strong conservative value in this area. So the gallery is pretty counter to that. And I still think that there's like a large progressive community in Lethbridge with the university, the college present, the arts galleries, and these values of the arts.
The value isn't, immediately always recognized. And I think most arts communities would say that, but I think that the value proposition, the understanding of that, here we get a lot of pushback around, it's a hobby and the arts are nice, but they really are a luxury, and right now, fiscally, we can't support them. And it's reverse thinking, actually. The reality is that the arts they do contribute to individual personal health and well-being. They contribute very much on a broader, more social level to the well-being of community and mental health and learning and all those kinds of things. But they also do have an economic benefit to a community. I mean, having all these wonderful artists living here, paying taxes here, working in businesses here, supporting the small businesses has a huge impact. It's much the same as a university. So that's the hardest thing, that's the most discouraging, and also messaging, working really hard to send those messages out to the world, and it keeps blowing back, like nobody's listening,
Lethbridge is small. I would describe Lethbridge as being small, and it's a bit tough if you're a person of color or someone who belongs to a marginalized group, just because some of the people who live here have a lot of outdated beliefs. And so I always say that Lethbridge is the place where I know I'm Black, because people make it very clear to me.
One of the things that I've learned is that the city of Lethbridge, has been growing, and growing and growing, and generations don't grow as quickly as communities often do. And because of that, change can be happening very, very quickly. And I think the community isn't always on board with the pace of change.
When I first moved here in September 2011 for university, it was different. It was different, I said for the first time living in Canada, being a Northeast Calgary kid, Lethbridge was the first time I felt like a visible minority, right? It was just crazy, just kind of like coming in and, you're trying to, find what works, you're trying to create your own scene and you're trying to collaborate with people, right? Because that's what I think, music, art, whatever it is, that's how I see it. It's a collaboration. You have like all these different elements. You have a guitarist, you have a bassist, you have a drummer, you have all these different colors. If you're a painter, you have to get all these individual elements to work together, right? So it was initially challenging to try and meet people and work with people, but then, the universe moves in funny ways and like-minded people kept coming into the city and started connecting with more like-minded people. And then we decided, you know what, it's easier to complain about the scene. Screw it, let's create our own scene. Let's do what we want to do.
With respect to Lethbridge, with the university, the college, there are a lot of young people. And that vibrancy, and because the learning institutions are there, it always, I think, evokes that sense of curiosity.
And I think it's kind of different for us too. I was thinking about it today because the fact is we want to make a community here because we can't go anywhere else and learn our language and our language is dying out. It's important for us to know our culture and stuff like that. So it's really it's important for us to build a community here because if you're gonna leave we can't leave and learn Blackfoot anywhere else but our territory, man, and from our grandparents and stuff. And so it's it's almost a double-edged sword in a sense for I don't know if that's
that's perfect.
Yeah. So
exactly. And what does that make you if you lose all your sense of who you are, where you've come from? What's that make you?
Yeah, it's why are we doing it anyways then? Yeah. You're hustling backwards.
Yeah, exactly.
A big thing
Can't
for
be
us
doing
is
that.
who we do it for. This is what
do it for ourselves, the people that are gonna come up next.
Yeah.
For our children, for a family. for our grandparents, for our parents, you know, for everyone that's close, everyone that supports us, even the people that we don't see that support, you know.
Like this city is really good at supporting local like restaurants and everything like that. But I wish the city would give more opportunity to local talent, especially. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe like this city is definitely giving the opportunity to local talents, but I want them to give the opportunity towards like stand-up comedy, right? I want that. I feel like people are like, oh, he's a Lethbridge comedian. They're Lethbridge comedians. What fun can they make, right? But if anyone has ever gone to a comedy show, you can tell that Lethbridge has an amazing scene and very powerful scene.
There's an article many, many years ago written in the Galleries West magazine or in one of the arts periodicals, and there's a quote in it about Lethbridge isn't a great place to earn a living as an artist, but it is a great place to connect and create art. And I think that's a really important statement because there isn't a huge audience or market necessarily for visual arts in particular, and a very small but dedicated theater and gallery going audience. It's really hard to be a functioning, like earn all of your living here as an artist. However, there's a great supportive community, and there's the ability to connect with artists, to connect with various disciplines and create work. And I think that's very true about our community.
It's good motivation.
There's good people in this community, man. Like, it's coming together. You know, it's just a small city, but I think that's where like magic happens, you know? You don't need to go to Vancouver to Toronto to blow, or like, you know, it's right here, man. And so like, just the other day, one of our boys, Morris, he puts us on all the time, bro. Like, you know, like having people like that are big for the community, man. Like Elrev, like, you know, like these people that are trying to help, just like, you know, and like it's hard because
they've been where we are essentially, you know what I mean? Like it's all gonna start somewhere, man.
Yeah.
And having some people like that to look up to, and especially being so close, it makes it almost makes it easier, you know.
And I think we have to encourage people to be a little bit more progressive in their thinking, in terms of don't just go to the show, the big $100 show at the NMAX or the Saddle Down. Look at the little things and look at, going to an intimate show at the Geomatic Attic and having like a Grammy Award-winning performer come play. But I think, government, for example, has to support the arts, but also I think they could also be part of promoting it. Not so much spending money on it, but trying to find ways to get people to think outside of a narrow tunnel vision, like get them to try stuff, get them to encourage them to do new things, get them to go to downtown. Like, we'd love to be in downtown, and we do some things downtown, but I think the key for our city is that we can't let our downtown languish. We have to have stuff down there. We have to have things happening there. And all the best cities in the world have vibrant downtowns. And I worry about Lethbridge in that regard if we don't kind of promote that.
So we're really excited about the opening of Festival Square coming in June. That's going to be an amazing public space for businesses and the public alike to really use that space and take it as their own. There's going to be a permanent stage on there where musicians and artists of all kinds, they can use that stage as their platform to showcase their talent to others. That space is also going to be available for business owners to use and rent for outdoor events. So we're really excited for that. But yeah, we're really looking forward to being heavily involved in that. It's right across from our office, so we're really looking forward to being a presence there every time there's something going on there. We really want to create really good relationships in the community.
When it comes to improvements, when it comes to confronting our challenges, first and foremost in any community, if you don't confront that you have a challenge in and around racism and discrimination in your community, if you can't even start the conversation or dialogue that is a piece of existence in any community, then it really gets tough to understand, where change needs to occur.
Like sometimes we show work that's like about like decolonizing, or is about like those sort of histories that are really dark. And when we're talking about white supremacy, if that's something that you as a white person feel uncomfortable with, it might bring up some pretty strong defensive feelings, and like that's okay. And I think that there's like certain stages where people are at in their learning and understanding of their place within this like territory that is not ours. This land has been stolen, and it's Blackfoot territory, and I'm an immigrant. I happen to be here, and I think we have responsibilities to that, especially as an institution. We're trying to be a space where where people can learn.
What I love is when you get together with people that are driven by passion, that are driven to make change, and it's really something that they want to contribute their brilliance to offering that change. It comes in the way we volunteer for committees. It comes in the way that we step up for agencies and we bring our gift and our art. If we don't sit on committees in our community, if we don't volunteer to be on the Downtown BRZ board, or we don't volunteer to be, on any of the city committees, reconciliation, or, we don't volunteer to sit on the police commission or what have you, Galt Museum, the list goes on. That's where our voice can be missed, and it is needed there. And every time I sit on a board or offer my insight from a volunteer perspective, I do it from a place of passion, and I do it from a place of honoring my ancestors, honoring my culture, honoring who I am, and being authentic in that moment. Because I know that my voice could potentially open even a little crack for someone else to come through that crack. And that's what I want. That's what I think we should all strive to be. We should all strive to break down barriers, create opportunities, and be mentors to young people.